Oh, landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess. And have you started filling your underwear with sandwiches? It's really important that you do that. I don't know why you didn't get the announcement. But do me a favor and hit that like button to the terrace win. And for the last week, we've been carrying the Ozark Trail Elevation Button Lock Knife. Now, let's take a look at what we're holding, because it'll bother you if I don't. And you know I love you. So, first things first, and most importantly, the pocket clip is tip up, which is the Lord's carry. We got the olive drab G10. We've got a reversible pocket clip. We got a button lock and a thumb stud. Let's flick the stud. And we have got right about 3 1/4 inches, give or take, of 12C27 steel. Okay, so this is right on the heels of carrying that had no sauce behind it, but carrying the Ozark Trail Valor Axis Lock Knife. And I got to tell you right now, it's going to be hard to pull a ton of talk time out of this just because they were very similar. You know, it carried pretty much identical to this one because the handles are pretty much an identical shape. You know, it didn't give me any major problems. And, you know, instead of the Axis lock, you had the button lock, which took me a little while to get used to. But, you know, the major differences is, of course, the button lock. And, you know, the single centrifugal open, which I like, but it's very hard to do it. So I wound up using the thumb stud 99 times out of 100, which was just like this one. It won't centrifugal open, but I wound up using the thumb stud pretty much every single time. We have got the clip point instead of the Tonto right here, which I prefer this. You know, a good drop point would have been just as good, but the clip point is nice. And I will say the factory edge on this was a whole lot nicer. It cut a whole lot better. It did the things a lot better, so I was really happy to see that. Of course, this one, the factory edge was not happy. It wouldn't take a solid edge. It just didn't sharpen up right, and it didn't cut really well, and it didn't hold on to the edge for too long. Now, the plastic wrap on pallets, whenever I first got this thing out and started carrying it, it cut through it like I was cutting water, like no problems whatsoever. I fed it some cardboard. It did good with that. And like you can see, there was some edge wear, you know, just like most knives we carried. You get a few pieces of cardboard cut up, the plastic wrap on pallets gets a little bit harder. This did that. So yeah, like no major complaints there. No major complaints there whatsoever. I did get used to the button lock after a little while, which, you know, I was talking about that on the last video. I like slamming these things shut, so I slowed down on that, slowed my roll, and got that under control. That rhymed. But yeah, like this, I will say right now, I like this a lot more than this. I like the Elevation a lot more than the Valor. It just feels better. The action feels better. The button lock feels smoother. It can centrifugal open. The factory edge was better. It cut better. It did so many of the things better that, you know, I strongly prefer this one over the other. Now, for 24 bucks, again, get a mini Praxis. Just get a mini Praxis, get us a VV. That way you know what you're getting. This thing, like, and again, from example to example to example, you're going to see different quality control stuff. You know, this one had good action, a good factory edge. Everything on it feels solid. This one did not. And a lot of guys have had better examples of this, and a lot of guys have had worse examples of this. So, yeah, it's very similar to carrying this. It felt a lot better using it. It felt a lot better day to day as far as, like, using it as a knife. It did better than this did. But other than that, very, very similar carrying environment, carrying circumstances. It's just this cut better. This cut better, and it had a button lock. Only major difference. But this is a real short video. I can't think of a lot else to add about it. I'll be honest, we've already covered this to death, and we've covered this. So we're gonna move on to Cardboard Slayer and see how it does with edge retention testing on that 12C27. Like I said, I've heard the 12C27 is pretty weak as far as blade steels go. It's just not an edge retention. It's not really good on edge retention just because it's an old cheap steel. We're gonna find out. As I said, I don't know a whole lot about 12C27. It's just something I've never handled before. So we are going to get in there. We're going to enjoy it. I am hoping that it held on to its edge, and I'm hoping for a good performance out of it. Now, the fact that the spot between these liners isn't chamfered, there's that $5 word, and I gave it to you for free. But the fact that that's not chamfered is going to be the same as this. I'm just going to preemptively wear some protection for this so that this doesn't pick up another blister that sucked so hard last time. But, yeah, let's take a look at our factory edge and see where she's sitting after a little bit of light-duty use. Duty. Yeah, it's definitely showing some wear. And I didn't feed it that much cardboard, I'll be honest. I didn't feed it a ton of cardboard, but, you know, it is what it is. All right. So this is the electronic edge sharpness tester, kindly provided by you guys through your super chat donations, your channel memberships, what have you. Thank you for the support. I will always be grateful. I got a feeling that's going to be mid to high 200s. I've got a feeling that'll be mid to high 200s. 228. All right, so not as bad as expected, but we are starting at a rough spot. We may end up seeing about the same kind of edge retention that we saw on the Valor. If we do, okay. If not, like if we see better performance, I'll be happy. But I got a feeling we may end up seeing about the same performance as the Valor did, but at least it started off sharper and it carried a little bit better. So, yeah, that's everything I can think of to say about it. Like I said, real short video. There's not too much to say that I haven't said about this one outside of a couple of small differences. So, all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. Y'all keep coming in. I appreciate you so much. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We got live streams, regular videos. There's plenty of activities. Comments, I love some feedback. Let me know how this is treating you guys. A ton of y'all have picked this thing up. Let everybody know how it's doing for you. All that being said, y'all have a nice day.